Good morning, YouTube friends and family. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm on my last leg heading to Jersey. And right before I pulled out of the truck stop, I read a post on a Hotshot group. The poster's a little bit upset because he called on a load and the load has a rate associated with it, and when he called and they determined he was a hotshot, they lowered the offer to him. And so, you know, his post on Facebook is that, you know, it's unethical and immoral, and, you know, obviously he thinks it's not fair. And so, like anything else, you know, especially with all the people that are trying to get into the trucking business simply because they want to do business with Amazon, this is an at-will market, guys. I can offer, if I had a load I needed to have moved, I can offer it at whatever price I want. You can try and quote me whatever price you want to get. And if we meet somewhere in the middle, cool. Or we can agree to disagree, or we each go our own way. There's nothing immoral or unethical about it. It just is what it is. And so, you know, you'll have to excuse the noise. It was a cool night last night, and I had I opened up the sleeper windows. This truck has windows up high in the cab, and I really like when a cool breeze comes through the cab. I sleep with the engine off. I try not to run anything, either AC or heater at night. I find that I sleep better, and I'm hearing the wind, and I can kind of feel the temperature coming through. So I apologize if you guys are getting a whole bunch of that sound. I guess I could have stopped and closed the windows, but it's not till right now specifically that I'm hearing it. Anyway, so let's just say I have a boat I want to move from my yard in New Mexico back home to Cali, and I want to pay $500. And for you, that's a $1,500 load. And I could be off on the numbers, I'm just throwing them out there. You know, if you were to quote me $1,500 and I want to pay $500, I can decide I'll just give it to someone else. The crappy thing about cheap freight, you'll almost always find someone to do it. And that's why, you know, we're always barking, don't take cheap freight. So my $500 boat move, somebody will take it. And that's just the reality. Somebody will take that load. And you're trying to get $1,500 because you're a smart business person and you know you need to cover your overhead and still make a little money. After all, we're not in this as a charity, right? But then if you turn around and get mad at me because I want to pay $500, there's nothing to get mad at. There's absolutely nothing to get mad at. Go get your $1,500 somewhere else. We're not forced to do business with each other. And I keep saying it about the Amazon loads. To that end, I had someone get all upset with me on Facebook the other day because they were complaining about an Amazon rate, and I'm like, so don't take it. Well, I need to work. I need to feed my family. Go work somewhere else. You're not married to Amazon. You don't have a contract with Amazon. You know, you don't have to be loyal to them. And I guarantee you, they're not going to be loyal to you. And so, getting back to the hotshot thing, hotshotters have it kind of bad, guys, because if you go through YouTube, and I'm not going to name names or you know, try and discredit anyone, but if you go through YouTube and you look up hotshotters, eventually every single one of them will make a video where they try to compare the operating cost of a hotshot rig to a full-size Class 8 semi-truck like what I'm driving. And so here's the thing. They try to use numbers to scare you. Oh, your semi-truck is $150,000. A hotshot rig is $60,000. So right off the bat, you're saving all that money. And they're telling this to new, I almost said wannabe, and maybe that's kind of derogatory, right? To an aspiring entrepreneur wanting to get into the hotshot industry, you know, that's like a cold hard slap of reality, right? You know, if you go by yourself, you know, we're not even talking about, you know, a nice hood truck, you know, Peterbilt W900 or you know, one of those types of trucks. We're talking a generic Freightliner Cascadia or Evolution or whatever they call them now. You know, even one of those decked out with all the equipment you need to go over the road, you know, fridge, microwave, tri-pack, 3-axle, you know, let's just say automatic, because that's what people are speccing these days. You know, you're 140, 150 grand for one of those setups. But the truth is, your aspiring entrepreneur, he's not going to go buy that truck brand new as a new startup business. He's going to go buy a used truck. And so they're skewing the numbers there. And then they try to scare you with, oh, well, my hotshot truck, you know, I can pay $250 a tire, and a semi truck is $500 a tire. Okay, so let's start with the truck price. The truck I'm driving right now, I bought a few packages, and so I have the advantage that I got a discount because I ended up owning a total of 16 of these Mack trucks, and I bought a few different packages. I think one of them was 5, and then a package of 4, and a package of 6 or something. I don't remember. I'm not gonna try and lie and say I do. I think it was like 5, 4, and another 5 or something. Anyway, in all the packages I bought, there was a couple I didn't take because I just didn't want them based on what we saw. And so it was mixed up. The packages were, I ended up with 16 of them. And the last 2 packages, I ended up paying about $20,000 per truck. And so the one I'm driving right now, I believe this one's a 2012. I got it with, it was in the mid 600s, low 600s, mileage wise. So we're talking like a 2012. This was 3 years ago. So 3 years ago, I bought a 2012. You know, we're 2021. So whatever you want to say it was, you know, the truck was 7 years old with, you know, 600,000 miles on it. And, you know, it's a full-blown sleeper truck, 3-axle, 500 horse, 13 speed, yada, yada, yada. And so I just this last month that I came home for my daughter's birthday and had to park the trucks till I got an IFTA issue squared away. I barely at that point put new tires on this truck. I did the steer tires early on, and I had one start to come apart on me for some reason. I never quite figured out why that happened, so I did replace one in the meantime. So I did the 2 steer tires early on when I bought the truck. And last month I did all my drives. So used tires came on my used truck, and they were recaps, mind you. I got 300,000 miles out of them, and they weren't new when I bought them. They were probably 70% life left, somewhere in there. I haven't done brakes. All the brakes on this are the same brakes that I purchased the truck with. I did shocks on the steer axle, and I replaced the radiator. It had a pinhole, and unfortunately for a lot of these radiators nowadays, they run plastic caps. And so when I discovered the leak, I did the whole, don't laugh, I hid the whole JB Weld thing to get me to finish the load. And then I'll be honest, I kind of forgot about it, and I ran it another month on a JB Weld repair. And it wasn't till I updated the truck's file. I was home, and I was dropping work orders into the truck's permanent file back at the office, and I had a little note to myself, need a radiator, and I'm like, oh man, I forgot about that, and summer's coming, so I replaced the radiator. It was like $1,000, something like that. $1,000 installed, which I thought was pretty reasonable. And so I've gotten 300,000 miles worth of service out of this truck. Last month, I sold another 2 trucks. I have a lot of trucks sitting, and so it doesn't really make sense for them to sit and develop lot rot. So in the last, I'm going to say 4 months, I sold like 4 of these. So I'll see if I can insert the picture. See if I'm smart enough to do that. So this is a picture of the 4 trucks sitting at the place where I purchased them. It was 4 in this particular package. This is a picture of the trucks sitting at the yard. Lot rot can be brutal. Trucks, just like cars, need to run. Obviously, I can't put them in a warehouse and take them off their tires, put them on blocks, and pull the batteries out and do stuff like that. And so I've sold a few to keep that from happening and to put a little capital back in the bank. Anyway, so these 4 trucks I purchased for 80 grand out the door, and I sold 2 of them for 30,000 a piece, and then the last 2 I sold for 25,000 a piece. So whatever that math comes out to, I paid 80,000 for the 4, and I ended up selling 4 of them for like 110,000 in 2 different sales, 2 different transactions. And 60. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? I put about 300,000 on each truck, and I made money on them. Tell me that on a pickup truck you can purchase a pickup truck, run it 300,000 and sell it for a higher price than what you purchased it for. And then convince me that your operating cost is cheaper if you take a pickup truck and run it 300,000 to 500,000 miles. The truck's pretty much worthless at that point. I mean, there's a pretty famous popular YouTuber that sold his first truck with $500,000 on it. He sold it at a pretty good price, but I think a big part of it was the guy's kind of famous, and you know, another YouTuber bought it and used it to make a couple videos, and that whole truck kind of had its own almost like royalty type history, because it later appeared on a website where they were selling it supposedly with less miles on it. So that truck kind of became famous, but that's kind of a rare exception. You usually don't get that much money for those trucks. Anyway, so the problem with the Hotshotters industry is these guys have, even in their mentorship, in other words, guys that are famous, you know, or popular with their YouTube channels, and by popular guys, I mean, you know, some of these guys have well in excess of 100,000 subscribers, and frankly, some of them make more money YouTubing than they do trucking. And so these guys, just by YouTube popularity, have almost become like what some people would say an authority on the topic. So these guys make videos explaining to hotshotters, or, you know, prospective hotshotters, that's the word I should have used earlier, prospective hotshotters, and explain to them that your operating cost is cheaper in a pickup truck. And brokers are quick to pounce on that idea. You know, oh yeah, no, I'll pay a big rig more, but you're in a hotshot. Your truck's cheaper. It's not cheaper. In no way is it cheaper. Everything wears out in a fraction of the time. These guys are replacing tires every 6 months. I replaced tires 3 years later, and they weren't brand new when I bought the truck. So, in fact, I might even have a picture. If I'm smart enough and I can insert the picture, I think I took a picture when I went to buy these things, and I stuck my finger down in the tread. Yeah, I know that's not really scientific. It's not like a tread depth measuring device, but you'll get the idea. The tires were nowhere near brand new, and I just replaced them last month. And so you can't tell me your operating cost on a hotshot is cheaper. Everything wears out quicker. In fact, these guys on their trailers end up replacing axles like every 6 months because they overheat, melt down, and get destroyed. You know, I've been running these trailers over the road and I haven't had to replace a single axle or do any service to the axles at all. And I shouldn't have said that. But so the moral of the story here is you convince an industry you can operate cheaper, and everyone tries to pinch you down because you can operate cheaper according to your own industry. And even though that should not have a relevance, brokers pounce on that. Brokers know when a market starts to flip. Like right now, brokers know Amazon is slowing down, and they're trying to lower their rates because, you know, there's a lot of trucks that are now leaving Amazon, and even if not leaving, they're looking for a backup. They're looking for another source of revenue, and so the market starts to flood, and brokers know this. And if they've already got a commitment on, you know, some regular loads that they've quoted, let's say a shipper puts out 6 loads a week and they have a commitment for the whole quarter, they're not going to hold that price. They're going to go with whatever the market is. And so for this hotshotter to get upset and say this is immoral, it's unethical, and so on, it's a free market. You're free to go somewhere else. That's why the word free is in there. You're free to go pursue work somewhere else. You may not like the practice that particular broker is engaging in, but that broker, just like the trucker, is in it to make money. No one's in it for exercise. We're not in it to make friends. And even though we meet great people and we develop good relationships, and you think to yourself, man, you know, this is a cool cat, I enjoy working with them. I really enjoy working with my dispatcher. He's a good guy, hard worker, organized. You know, he's on point. Even when the guy's sick and off, he still calls me to make sure everything's good. You know, but it's a business relationship. I switch to them because they get me better paying loads. They take good care of me because, you know, I come through with the work they commit to, and they make money off of the money I make. And so it's a win-win, but it's free will. At any given moment, I can go pursue work somewhere else. You know, there's no need to get angry over it. And so this hotshotter feeling like, you know, he's being morally wronged, go find another load, buddy. It's that simple. You know, yeah, that may have been a load going to where you wanted it to go. It may have been maybe a trip home or whatever. You're free to go find a load somewhere else. No one is forced to fit your need or your requirement. And don't be mad at the broker. Be mad at every other hotshotter that's willing to do that rate that cheap. The same thing applies with my friends and colleagues over at Amazon. When you guys get mad at how cheap Amazon is putting some of these loads out, don't be mad at Amazon. Be mad at the people that are accepting those loads. That's why Amazon puts the load out at that rate. And so we shape our industry. We determine the rates. I'll park, and I've done it before. You know, can't find anything worthwhile, I'll sit till tomorrow, see if something better comes up on the load board. You know, I'm not forced to move. No one has a gun to my head saying you have to take a load. You know, go down to Walmart, buy enough supplies, hunker down, and I'll take the load when the load's at the rate I want. If it's going to be a long-term thing, start heading for home and figure something else out. That's all there is to this thing, guys. And likewise, you know, it applies to every industry. Whether you're running a box truck, whether you run expedited services, reefers, dry vans, removable goosenecks, it doesn't matter. Even an Uber driver, it doesn't matter. You don't like the rates, park it. And if enough people park, what'll happen is the rates will adjust. You know, but if your finances are such that you can't afford to park, then you messed up. Don't be mad at the industry. A lot of guys trying to join Amazon are basing their idea on Amazon rates based on peak season, and every single day I see it on the load board. You know, oh, I just got on Amazon Relay. What's up with these rates? When are they going to correct themselves? Q4 is when they're going to correct themselves. And then they're like, well, I can't sit here and do this work till Q4. I'll run out of money. Yeah, you made the mistake of joining in the downturn, and you didn't research it enough, and the market isn't as good as you thought. You looked at peak season rates, and you watched some guy's video who's basically looking for clicks because that's where they're making their money, and you bought the guy's package. I find it incredible that brand new truckers don't have a CDL, and they're selling these informational packets or these classes on how to be successful in this business. And I know I keep bringing that up, but it's funny to me. You know, I come from an equipment rental background. We focus primarily on construction, and you know, if you wanted to talk about a union, it's kind of like a guy just joined the apprenticeship at the union hall, and he's putting out a how-to video on how to run a successful construction company. Guy's got no experience running a construction company. He's a damn apprentice. And so, anyway, I rambled on enough about that. I found it interesting that someone's that bent out of shape. I see rates that don't make sense to me all the time. I don't get mad at it. Even when Amazon's rates started going in the toilet and they were offering these contracts where your truck was going to make $530 a day, I won't turn a key for that. There's nothing I want to do with $500 a day, and they're going to work you 13 hours. You know, and to the people that were dumb enough to take it, cheers. If you can make money doing that, good for you. If you were smart enough not to take it, we would all benefit because the rates would go up. The rates would go up and we'd all make more money. That's the bottom line. People accept this freight. The guy that's upset on Facebook at how cheap the rate is, you know why he's really upset. The real reason he's upset is he knows another hotshotter is going to take the cheaper rate. That's why he's upset. But he's upset at the broker instead of at the hotshotter that's going to take the load. Anyways, guys, I'm coming up on a few interchanges here where I got to switch back over to my GPS so I don't end up making a bad turn. As always, thanks for watching. I did check the load boards real quick, and it looks like Amazon has not reloaded the box truck loads. There's like anywhere to anywhere right now across the US, it's like under 200 loads, and usually that number is like in the 2000s. So hopefully today sometime that reloads, and tonight I should be starting my reset. I don't have anything scheduled through the weekend, and so I should have time to do a couple load board reviews and show you guys what's out there. But as always, thanks for watching.